I absolutely love hunting all sorts of animals. This week we're going after something completely different. I'm going for my gator slam. My goal was to take a gator with a bow, one with a rifle, and maybe if I was lucky, one with a hook. Starting up, we're headed to South Carolina to do the ultimate gator hunt with a bow and arrow. To get things started, I set out a cup to shoot at. Made a couple of shots. Seemed pretty simple. The hard part is a gator's got such a small area to hit that with a bow you need to be very precise. Now this can be difficult with all that string, everything hanging off your bow, but I was all set and I was ready to head out for my very first gator hunt ever.
I love alligator hunting. Boy, when you see a big old alligator, your heart goes to pumping and oh goodness, your adrenaline's up and things start happening.
So the very first night we started heading out, scouring, looking for gators, and there were a ton. So when it comes to field judging a gator, of course you can look at how wide the eyes are apart. But there's a way to really see how big this gator is just from the little bit that's showing. A good rule of thumb is for every inch from their eye to the end of the nose. It's about a foot on the size of the gator. But if you can see a foot, well, that means you've got one giant 12-footer underneath that water. And the other crazy thing is, you would think when a gator's laying in the water that they're just straight across. Not the case. These gators are actually about like that in the water. So you see just a tiny bit of their head, but the rest of their body is almost underneath of them. So it makes it really tough to try to get any type of a double lung shot or get it in their body. So that one little space right on their neck, that's your best bet with an arrow. Gator killing time. One of the very first things you need to know when you hunt gators, you will miss. You will absolutely miss. Right over them. These guys only have a spot about that big where your arrow will actually penetrate. And a lot of it's just a learning curve. Nice one we saw, but right over the top of them. So that's the good thing about this area. It is a target-rich environment. Now we're gonna go look for a couple more. Of course, there's all sorts of things that can come from hunting at night, but the number one thing you don't want to do is fall in. Luckily, he got back in the boat, he was a little wet, and we were continuing to hunt. Now I love calling any type of animal, but with gators, it is really, really neat. You can make a baby gator distress call. Now what this does, it brings the males in wanting to eat the little baby. It also brings the big females in looking to protect it. So basically, if you're calling and it's working, the gators from the entire pond are coming right to you. I'll wait till he turns. I can't shoot him. Bounce right off.
So ricocheted off his back.
How does that happen? Well, we thought we had a miss reeling in the rope, and we got a live one.
With this first gator under her belt and another tag to fill, Melissa goes after something bigger when we return. Winchester's Deadly Passion is presented by Winchester Ammunition, Thompson Center, Cuddy Back Digital, Bog Pot, Cabela's, She Outdoor Apparel, and Hunter Safety System. Melissa Bachman is learning the finer points of bow hunting gators on her first ever hunt in the swamps of South Carolina. They called in this lunker and just missed him. This smaller gator gave her a moving shot that hit its mark and landed her first kill. But she's not done yet. Now she's ready to target a monster.
Normally, everybody wants to try to get the biggest alligator they can, which is good. But it seems like nowadays they're getting a little smaller.
After checking out a lot of gators and missing a few, we finally found a huge gator. Now he presented a shot. I got all ready. My heart was just pounding. I made the shot and I completely missed. I don't know if my string got hung up or what happened, but I was immediately reeling in and trying to get reset up because this gator, he was big enough that I was highly doubted he had been pushed around very often. So by the time I got re-ready, that gator was still there. Mendel just slowly eased and paddled us in nice and close. And the next thing I know, I've got another shot. Now this time I really took a deep breath, tried to make the perfect shot. I was in nice and close. There we go. I knew it was perfect.
You got him, you got him. Look at the bubbles.
And just Mendel's excitement, I knew things had worked out. And now, let the games begin. Any luck we spined him.
We might need that 22 rifle.
Now this gator, well, he was very much so alive. So we needed to get him up to the boat and make a shot to finish him off.
But now listen, he's not hurt.
Okay.
And he might attack the boat. I mean, just let's be careful, okay?
Recovering a gator is often a complicated endeavor. On the other end of the line is an angry predator turned prey with plenty of strength to attack its captors. This process is never to be taken lightly.
This gator was not happy about being pulled up to the surface. And the good thing is, they can only hold their breath so long, so eventually they have to come up. You just better be ready when they start coming up. Holy smokes, how big is it?
Multiple shots are usually required to finish off a gator of this size. And even after being lashed to the boat and hauled to shore, he's not done yet.
Watch out.
Hey, that woman knows she could shoot that Matthews boat.
Once he's finally subdued, they get a measurement.
That is dead on 11 feet. All right.
Look. Finally got one with the bow, and he's a monster. Thank you, guys.
You're welcome.
Now on this hunt, we were hunting private land. So we had nuisance tags. The good thing with this, that means you can take a high-powered rifle and shoot one of those monster gators.
Shooting a monster is the next plan when Melissa's Gator Slam continues.
Well, now I had one part of the slam done. I got my gator with the bow, and he was an absolute giant. Of course, it's gonna be tough to try to beat an 11-foot gator, but I was up for the challenge. Now this year, I'm back in South Carolina, and I've got one goal in mind, to try to get a gator with my rifle. Now what the plan was gonna be to stalk along the shores, looking and kind of glassing, looking for gators in the water. Now this is a great way to be able to see them during the day, and I thought if I was lucky, maybe I could find one sunning themselves on the shore, but instead, most of them were already in the water. In fact, the gators have gotten so out of control in a lot of the places in South Carolina that these guys can't even go duck hunting with their dogs. As we crept along, we spotted one that looked to be absolutely huge. Unless your eye's trained for it, it's pretty tough to know that there's a 600-700 pound gator lurking right over the edge. He's right there. Once we had the gator spotted, I needed to find a good rest. The hard part with using a rifle, well, you've got an even smaller place to hit. In fact, you must get them right in the brain. So you've got maybe the size of a quarter to hit, and these gators are not presenting much of the shock. His head just went boom. That was definitely a hit. I knew it was a great hit. But even with that said, you need to get out there and get to that water as quick as possible.
I normally have a buoy that I throw out to mark the spot, you know, so if should he sink, you're able to pull around and locate him.
Hold on, don't let go yet. Yeah, I got him.
You got him now?
Yeah.
Look at the size of the... He's still alive. Give me the gun. Oh. Here, Mike.
That's a big old boy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure I wouldn't even be able to get this gator anywhere if I was on my own. But luckily I wasn't. I had a great group of people with me again. As soon as we started pulling him over that boat, I was stunned.
Yeah.
Nice work. I think Swamp People's gonna want us on their show now. Look, they're calling already. They sure have some giant gators here.
He ain't as big as I thought he was.
I think the 300 did the trick.
Oh yeah, that's bad.
It is hard to tell if you hit these guys or not, though. It's 10 feet.
10 foot and 1 inch.
10 feet 1 inch. What a beautiful gator.
Don't go away. We head down to the swamps of Louisiana for part 3 of Melissa's Gator Slam next. Tip of the week is brought to you by Can-Am. The facts say a lot, but the ride says it all.
Gator hunting takes precision shooting. You're aiming at a target the size of an egg. Now sure, it may be a 10-foot gator, but you have an extremely small margin of error on a brain shot and you need to make it count. Now the type of ammo you're using is just as important because you need a high level of performance. I'm using Winchester's Power Max bonded in a 300 Win Mag 180 grain bullet. Upon impact with a gator, you need massive expansion and powerful knockdown, and the Power Max bonded does that at an affordable price. This bullet was designed to expand to a very large diameter very quickly, punching an extremely large hole. And as you can see, the results speak for themselves. Overall, you'll find it has outstanding consistency, very good weight retention for such a large expanding bullet, which is why I decided to use this on big, tough gators.
Deadly Passion is presented by Swarovski Optic, North American Hunting Club, Rage Broadheads, Matthews, Can-Am, Wildlife Research Center, and Hot Mox.
South Carolina's been good to me. I've been able to take 2 giant gators. The first one with my bow, second one with a rifle, and now there's only one piece of the puzzle left. I wanted to get a gator on a hook. The best place to do that? Head on down to Swamp People country. Ready or not, here I come. With all the recent activity with Swamp People, they've really brought to light the fun of gator hunting. Now the thing about hunting Louisiana, well, it's a little bit of a crapshoot because when you get one on a hook, well, there's no catch and release, so you need Lady Luck on your side. That means it's almost like trapping. You have to have your bait set up just perfect. You take old, rotten, stinking chicken and you bring it out and hook it on a line. And there's a lot that goes into it. Where you place it, how high above the water. If your bait drops down too close to the water, gators don't want it.
Now that we got the chicken all set, we're gonna try something completely different for gator hunting. We're gonna sit in a tree stand way up in the tree, and that way we can come and see these gators as they come hit this bait. I've got a cutty back set up to try to get them as it happens, and well, this is gonna be something totally different. The biggest thing is, don't drop anything out of the tree stand because it's gonna hit water and you're not getting it back. That includes me. I don't wanna fall in and be the next gator bait.
Now I'm talking sky high. We wanted to make sure that we could see everything that was going on and not spook any of the gators. About midday on the second day of sitting there, we had a gator come into the bait. Now this gator wasn't huge, but he put on quite a show. So I'm pretty sure this gator ended up burning up all his energy. He was absolutely fun to watch. Now we were up high enough that we could also see another gator sunning himself out on a log. Now, unfortunately, nothing came to where my cutty back was set up, but we decided to start doing a little scouting. We wanted to find an area that gators were frequenting. Well, Alan found the absolute perfect place, a section of land where all the gators actually had made a slide, coming from the land back into the water. This was as good as a buck rub. We knew there were big gators in the area, so it seemed like a perfect place to set up our bait. Well, I was pretty confident we had found the money spot. Getting in the boat the next morning, I had a great feeling. We got up to our spot and we started looking, and not only was the branch down, the entire tree seemed to be in the water. Now my first thoughts are, what kind of a gator did we get ourselves into?
I need a bigger bow.
So we called in a little backup, and as he pulled this gator out of the water, I just stood there in awe. I could hardly believe it. This gator was truly bigger than our boat. This is one gator that you would never believe was living in this little area. A gator like this, well, he could probably eat me in about 1 to 2 bites. So the gator slam was finally complete.
11-5.
11-5.
I had my big gator with a bow, one with the rifle, and now I had a beautiful gator with a hook. I've had a ton of great people helping me along the way on all these gator hunts, and if it wasn't for all their hard work, well, I probably wouldn't have been as lucky as I was, but you know what? I'll take a little luck on my side any day.
This was one of the most fun hunts, and it is pretty intense when you pull up on that tree and see that big old mouth under there and knowing that you have got a huge gator on the line. In fact, this guy, he could have got in our boat at any second. Talk about super intense hunting, and you don't have a very big area to shoot, so things can get pretty crazy, but a giant gator in the end, and we have got a lot of gator meat on this guy.
Coming up next week on Deadly Passion, Melissa Bachman heads to Colorado for a mule deer hunt that will blow you away. It's late season and she's hunting in one target-rich environment. The best part, she's right in the middle of it all. And just in case you ever wondered if unicorns exist, well, Melissa confirms it, at least in the world of mule deer.